Hey guys, So from Body Love Academy here, and I'm here to talk to you in this quick video today just about the 3 things that you'll need when you first go out and start applying for your jobs after you've finished your training and you've received your certification. Now, in addition to being the Education Director and Course Facilitator at Body Love Academy, I also manage all of the recruitment for all of the instructors across our bricks and mortar studios. So when we have new instructors apply to us, there's 3 things that we really need to get from each instructor to make sure that they're ready to jump onto our schedule and we could pop them into our covers list. So the first thing you'll need is an ABN, or an Australian business number. Now keep in mind that all of this information is really relevant to students and graduates that are based in Australia, and we're particularly in New South Wales, so some of this stuff will be even particularly relevant to New South Wales, but generally in Australia. If you're outside of Australia and you're watching this, it's really helpful just to check what's required from your particular country in terms of setting yourself up as a sole trader, or what the equivalent to a sole trader is within your country, so that you are able to then outsource or contract your services to other studios if that's the way that it works in your country. So in Australia, generally what happens is that a studio that is already in place, say something like our Body Love studios, are an entity in themselves. What then happens is that we take instructors on as contractors. So a little bit different to how if you were working retail or you were working a corporate job, that you would go and you would join that organisation as an employee. What happens when you contract your services out as a Pilates teacher or as a group fitness instructor of any kind, you would generally outsource your services as a contractor. So what that really means is that you are now a business yourself. So a lot of our instructors will become sole traders, which really means that you are the individual, you are the business yourself. So how this differs to regular employment is where, say, previously an employer would have paid your tax and contributed to your super and paid your HECS if that's relevant, you're now responsible to do those things yourself. So your Australian business number is how you contract out and what enables a studio to be able to pay you for your services. I'll pop a link below to the Australian government website where you can register yourself for an ABN. Again, this is just loose guided information, so please have a read through all the information that you need to set yourself up with this ABN. The second thing you'll need, and this is really good to do even before you finish your qualification, is to get your senior first aid and your CPR. Now again, this is where it may differ a little bit from state to state within Australia, but in New South Wales, your senior first aid is required every 3 years, whereas your CPR is required to be refreshed every year or every 12 months. So if you've booked yourself in to do your senior first aid and your CPR as one course, I would block out the whole day for that. Generally, it takes about 8 hours to do the 2 together. You'll have to do that one big block once at the very start, and then for the next 2 years, you'll have to refresh just the CPR. Again, keep updated with as this changes, because sometimes it will flick between 3 years to every 2 years that you need to do that senior first aid. So just keeping up to date with how often that's required if that changes as well. So at the moment, it's your senior first aid every 3 years, your CPR every 12 months that will need to be continuously refreshed. So once you've got your ABN sorted, you've got your senior first aid and CPR all sorted, you'll then need to get your insurance. So your insurance is really what covers you in terms of liability for when you're teaching public classes or private sessions. So you'll need this whether you're going out on your own in terms of doing boot camp style park classes. You'll need this if you're hiring a space yourself. Again, that can get a little bit different and you'll need to research that a little bit further in terms of hiring a venue. But you'll also need this if you're going to teach at a studio that's already in place and maybe already has its own insurance. It's still up to you to cover yourself now that you're a contractor and you're a business yourself. You'll need to cover yourself with your own professional indemnity insurance. So I'll pop some links below. We don't have any affiliations, but the businesses that I'm linking to below tend to be what our instructors go with. They have quite a good coverage in terms of specifics around fitness and different group trainings that can be really specific when you're looking to get that coverage. So that's what you want to have a little look for when you are, say, getting quotes for different policies. You want to make sure that the specific modality that you teach, whether it's, say, mat Pilates or bar or a combination of a bunch, you want to make sure that you can put each line item in and that's really specific to what you teach. Now, if you've got an insurer that, say, has a couple of the modalities that you have on there but doesn't have one, you can actually always email them and just ask, is it possible to have this added to this policy or this quote? And they can get back to you about whether that's a possibility as well. So that's it, guys. Those are the 3 key things that I would be asking if a new instructor was coming onto our schedule. I would need their ABN, their senior first aid and CPR, making sure they're all up to date, and their insurance to know that they're covered under their own policy. The other thing that you also just need to submit, and I would always ask for, is your certifications. So it's a really good idea to have a soft copy of them on hand that you can email through to any studios that you're approaching. So you want to have all of this ready to go before you start going out and approaching studios, so that, say, if they really love you and they want to pop you straight onto their schedule, or they've got a class that's come up the day that you go in there and you're happy to cover that class, you're ready to go. You can shoot all that information through and you know that you are covered and ready to start teaching.